Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about Understanding by Design, Stage 3. This is the last stage of the Understanding by Design teaching theory, and this will help you in creating units in your classroom. Hopefully you enjoy this, and thank you for listening to my presentation. Now we're going to start talking about Stage 3 of the Understanding by Design teaching theory to create units for your classroom. In the beginning section, it is referred to as the Plan Learning Experiences section. This is where you actually put in your learning goals or your objectives for what you want to teach your students. So here you're going to match up all of your SMART learning objectives, which is what SMART LO stands for, to words in Bloom's taxonomy. If you don't know what Bloom's taxonomy is, you need to look it up and refer to those terms in Bloom's taxonomy because you want your SMART learning objectives in any unit to match up with terms in Bloom's taxonomy. So this section right here is where you're going to put the objectives for the lesson that you're going to be teaching your students. As we move down a little farther here, we get into relevance. Relevance is basically what is the benefit of the student when completing this unit? How do they benefit from learning this material? So this is things that you're going to put in here, like when you teach this unit, what benefit is the student going to learn? Are they going to be able to take this and are they going to be able to share it with someone else? Are they going to be able to use it in the workforce? What types of benefits are the students going to be getting from the unit that you're teaching them? And that's something that you want to think about when you're teaching anything to someone. What benefit is that to them? Then as we move down a little farther, you're going to have the diagnosis section. In the diagnosis section, how will you know what they know before the lesson and what they know after the lesson? And how will you test for that? So here is where you're going to be putting in some form of testing or some form of wanting to know what the students already know. So whether that be giving them a quiz before they start class and then teaching your unit and then giving them the same quiz when you're done with class to see what they've learned, that would be one type of way that you could check on assessment of the unit that you've taught your students. As we move down, you want to make sure that when you are teaching a lesson to the students that you have some sort of hook, some sort of thing that you do that you can hold the interest of the students. A hook is something that's exciting or interesting that keeps the students invested and involved in a lesson so that it's not just something boring that they're not interested in and that they don't care about. So make sure that it's something that can get them engaged in some sort of way in the lesson that you're teaching. As we move down a little farther, we get to technology. This is how technology will be used in the unit to hook your students and get them interested and engaged. So along with that hook, what kind of technologies will you use in your classroom to keep your students invested? So that means, are they creating videos themselves? Are they using a video camera? Are they using their phone and they're making their own little commercials or their own little videos, or different types of technology they can be using within the classroom to understand the unit that they're learning and to be able to interact with that unit. As we move down a little farther, we have experience and explore. And this is how students will uncover the meaning of the unit. So this is how you're going to equip students in some way to know what it is that they're understanding here. So this is basically giving them the right equipment, helping them experience key ideas and explore the issues. So in this, it would be something such as a research project where they're doing the exploring, where they're trying to find out information on their own, they're uncovering their own information, and they're finding out for themselves so that they're equipped to understand the information that you're trying to get across to them. As we move down a little farther, we get to R, which is rethink, revise, and refine. We also kind of sometimes use rehearse or reflect in this section too. And this is how students are going to have a chance to think about this unit and rethink about this unit and possibly refine this unit and maybe even reflect on this unit. A lot of people use, some sort of self-reflection to do this, and that kind of encompasses the section underneath of us too, which is still part of the R. So this is something that you want your students to be doing. You want them to be rethinking on how to do things, and you want them to be reflecting on what they have learned to see that they are actually learning and that they can focus on that and reflect on it. As we move down even farther, we come to the second E. The second E consists of formative feedback, which is how students will get formative feedback so they can improve their work and move towards mastering lesson objectives. So in this kind of area, we're talking about evaluations such as possibly rubrics or some sort of quiz or something like that where the student can evaluate their performance. As we go down even farther, we get to the term tailored. T stands for tailored. How is this lesson organized for a technology-enhanced learning experience that uses differentiation, including adjusting content processes, product, and learning environments based upon student readiness levels, learning styles, interests, and personal goals? How is it tailored to the different needs of your students? You're going to have students from varieties of backgrounds. You're going to have students from varieties of monetary backgrounds. Some of them will be poorer than others. Some of them will have more money than others. How are you going to relate to all of the different types of students in your classrooms? You're going to have some that are coming from a background of education. You might have some coming from a different background, like the medical field. You still have to teach that unit to relate to all of your students in the same way. So this is tailoring your lesson so that it reaches out to all of the different students. And by using technology to do that, so whether that means, like I said before, having them create their own videos so that they might be able to be involved, having them do their own newscast in front of the classroom, different things like that, so that they're being involved visually and orally, and they're getting involved and excited and getting hands-on. O is organized using technology, and this is organized toward learner-centered strategies. So how will you organize your lesson so that it's designed to a variety of learning-centered instructional strategies? It kind of relates back a little bit to the T that we talked about. How are you going to organize this lesson so that you know that all of your students are being reached in the same type of way? And how are you going to organize it to be authentic? How are you going to engage your students in local and global interdisciplinary units where technology will help students assume professional roles, research real-world problems, collaborate with others, and produce products that are meaningful and useful? In this case, you're going to have interdisciplinary people working together. That means if you have people in two different kinds of the medical field, like physical therapy and radiology, that you're going to find some way that those two groups can work together so that they can share with one another their knowledge and they can learn from one another. How are you going to be organized to be creative, have higher order skills, and mental habits of mind? So here, how will your unit be organized to have technology enhanced learning experience that emphasize creativity, higher order thinking, skills and processes, and mental habits of mind? Then you move down a little, and how are you going to organize to assess students' learning? How are you going to continually assess students' learning and technology literacy by applying a rich variety of formative and summative assessments? So how are you going to continually keep assessing your students to make sure that they understand what it is that they need to understand that you're trying to teach them from the unit? Are you going to have multiple quizzes throughout the unit? Are you going to have them stand up and give some sort of oral speech? Are you going to have them work together on a group project? How are you going to organize the assessment of your students' learning? And how are you going to use technology to analyze data? How will you use your unit to organize technology tools and resources to collect and analyze achievement data, interpret results, communicate findings, and improve instructional practice and maximize student learning? That's the end of our unit here, but I want you to think through this and look back through this and understand that all of these letters that I was referring to, they all make up one word. And as I can show you here at the beginning, the word that they make up is where to. This is the where to learning plan. So as you look through these different letters that refer to different parts of the UBD learning unit plan, understand that all of these letters create the word where to, so it's easier for you to remember when you're trying to organize and design your unit lesson plan. Thank you for listening to my oral presentation. I appreciate your attention and have a nice day.